I'm gonna summarise a little bit here, just because before we head off. One of the other things we haven't had time to do, but I don't think we need to, but I am going to sort of emphasise to people that when an eclipse happens in a particular sign, it's going to fall somewhere in a house in your chart, in your individual chart. And each house, therefore, has another, it's a great way of saying, so let's say, for example, we talked about Aries. Let's say your Aries eclipse, which was all about potentially, new projects or starting new things or whatever. And that
in your 10th house.
What's that?
It's in your 10th house. Say
it's in your 10th. I was going to say 6th, but let's say it's in your 10th house. Either way, both of those, one's your job and one's your career. So one might be not a great time to look for a new job, or there might be some changes or something going on in your job that is not coming to light, that's not being shared to you, and something might be changing your routines. You might be finding that they're going to change your position in some way, or that's what's being put in process and you don't know about it. And the same might apply to your career or your business situation. So if it's in the 10th house. So each of those houses, depending on what it is, you sort of cross-reference what we've done. So what we've said here for each particular sign, then look at where that is in your house. So if it's in your first house, it's going to have to do with you personally. It's going to have a lot to do with yourself. Also may even be to do with your physical appearance, but it's also your personality, the things that you're doing on who you are as a person. Your second house will be your money, your finances, but also your own values. What's that?
Yeah, what supports you in life.
Yeah, what supports you in life, your security, how you are. The third, I'm being very general here, but this is for people just to work with it. So your third house will cover things like your education. If you're going to school, for example, or you're going, or you're not so much college because that's more than ninth, but at the same time, you travel, short distance travel, how you think about things, your reasoning mind, and also your relatives, your brothers, sisters, aunties, uncles. So anything that could be happening within that area. When you go to the fourth house, it's your home situation, your current house that you live in, your family, all of those associations, depending
on your parents, your hereditary parents.
Your hereditary parents, that's right. Your father predominantly, believe it or not necessarily your mother. It works in opposite. But also your emotional responses to things and how you are. You might find that there are unconscious things to deal with. So something that's coming up that's not necessarily conscious in your mind, but it's being revealed to you and it's making you feel a certain way. When you move into the fifth house, well, that's a big area, but that represents your close personal friends. We're not talking acquaintances, we're talking those who are your closest friends. It also influences love affairs, casual relationships. It also is to do with your speculation. It is to do with real estate. It's to do with your children. You're talking and your creativity. So any sort of creative projects and things that you want to start and that type of thing was definitely coming from the fifth. Entertainment, sports, anything that you're involved with there. So it covers a lot. Have I missed anything there, Greg?
No, I was going to suggest we could do a whole thing on the houses, but
we can do that, but I'm just going to give them something to work with. And your sixth house is your responsibilities, your workplace.
It's a labour house.
Yeah, and all the hard work you do. And it also involves your pets. So your dogs, your cats, or whatever pets you have.
And your health.
And your health. I did say health. But
well, not health in the sense of it's illnesses that befade.
Illnesses more so. Your actual physical vitality and health would come under the first house a little bit more than it would be the sun. So anything in the first. The seventh house is your marriage partner or your closest partners, whoever is your partner with you. It also is your business partner if you have a business. It's associated to your open enemies. So anyone you have open conflict with who doesn't like you may rear their ugly head. And also
the good part about that is that you can see them.
That's right. That's the difference. They're an open enemy, not a hidden enemy. So which is another whole other ball game. But also and if it's happening in your seventh house, sometimes it's I would also suggest that events may be something that's brought into your life as a form of a new relationship or a person you meet could be associated with what's causing the eclipse.
It's somebody that's away from your environment.
That's right.
It's totally opposite your environment. So it could be someone overseas or something to do with overseas.
Yeah, I would normally throw that in the ninth house, but if there's a correlation between the both, it's definitely associated to that. The eighth house is, okay, big one again. So you're talking about your own sexuality, your sexual relationships, death, taxes, any sort of crises that occurs in your life, your physical, mental, emotional, psychological issues that you need to be brought to the surface to deal with, inheritances. So if you've got anything going on with an inheritance at that time, especially with the sun and the moon, because it's often your mother and father, there may be complications in that area, sort of thing, that need to be dealt with.
It's a heavy research place too. It's an idle place, but it's a heavy research place. You're going down deep.
Yes, yeah, emotionally deep into what's, and anything that's your dark side. So that's sort of where it brings. So if you've got, skeletons in the closet, expect those skeletons in the closet to either be hidden further down, or they're going to come out and they're going to bite you in some way. They're going to knock you over the head. So then you go to the ninth house, and the ninth house is about overseas travels. This could involve trips. It's also about higher education, either in a formal sense or in a non-formal sense. It's also about religion and your spirituality in that respect, your belief systems.
A place where you love to go to.
Yes, exactly, where you love to go. That's right. And then we'll go to the 10th house. We've touched on that before. It's also about your career. It's about your status. What's that?
Status, reputation.
Your reputation. So, how people see you, how you like to be perceived in the world. It also represents your mother, and things to do with your mother and that type of thing. And there's a bit more to it, but I can't remember off the top of my head because I'm just running through these quickly. Go to the 11th house, and it's also, which is the house that represents that's where you come into your acquaintances, so people that you know, but you don't necessarily know very well, or you associate with.
Allies.
Allies is another one.
People that are going to...
Your wishes, hopes, and fears, but it's also about your house of gains. So,
manna from heaven.
Manna from heaven, yeah. So your second house might be where you get money. Your eighth house might be other people's money, but where you're gaining out of all of that's coming in through your 11th house. So
acquisitions and what we would call allies. So we get our allies, just give us stuff. Yes,
and groups. That's the other thing. So if you're a member of a particular group or an organisation or a humanitarian organisation or a church organisation or whatever, your organisations and the people associated with that are all through the 11th house. And then you go into the 12th, which is the hidden one. This is where your hidden enemies lie. You don't want to go there too far, but there's stuff you can't see. It's a difficult house because the 12th house can represent institutionalisation. So hospital visits or imprisonment, even at extreme cases. But it's also associated to your psychic stuff. So it's really, if something's happening and things are coming to the surface, but you can't tell what they are, you're probably going to find you're in an eclipse in your 12th house. You get Buckleys of finding out what it is at that point in time.
It's another world.
It's another world.
You're not attached
unless it's in your dream state. You might find you have visitations from dead parents or grandparents or something at that point in time.
A place of very isolation, as in the self itself.
Yeah. And
isolated there.
Also, we talked about crises with the 8th house. This is psychosis. So this is an area where you need to be very careful. So if people end up with a mental illness of some kind, they end up, going into a hospital or having to go into some sort of care. This is the sort of thing that the 12th house comes from. Okay, so you need to be looking at how things affect you. It's more than responsibility. It's the sacrifices we have to make as well. So it's the other side of the coin. So anyway, I think that covers it. So what you'd be doing is looking at what sign they're in, and then if you wanted to run that past each particular house, if you know your chart, and then you can make a generalized, pretty strong plan as to how and what that should be. If you needed more information on what's the Lord of it, what's this, what's that, you can reach out to someone like ourselves, either Greg or myself, because when those eclipses come up, we'll be able to see where they are anyway, if you don't know that much about astrology. So, and then sort of, I know you're pretty up to date, Greg, a lot of the time doing a little bit of when the eclipses come up, putting something out there either online or on Facebook or other places.
Well, I was retired until you got me out of retirement.
Oh, yeah, okay. Well, he did do it all the time. Now he doesn't do it as much.
So contact Luke's the new a kid on the block. He's getting there. He's out there and he's got all this information.
I've been doing it for a long time, but I just decided I better get off my backside.
Yeah.
I wanted people to get the facts rather than the whatever garbage they want to put out there on, someone who professes to be an astrologer. So
he's got to do the hard work because he's got the Saturn going on. Yeah,
well, I am a Capricorn. All right, we'll leave it there, Greg. What do you reckon?